stop talking about. The tragic death of a gorilla after a 3-year-old fell into the enclosure. And as you watch this video again, keep your eye on the child. What is going on in the mind of a 3-year-old as this is happening? The toddler we know suffered a concussion, some scrapes and bruises, but what about the emotional scars, lasting effects after going through that? And what about the parents? You go through this traumatic event, now many want to blame you. There's guilt as Harambe's killed. Now you have to insist, you're not bad parents, I'm not a bad mom. So much going on here and such a lose-lose for everybody. Joining us to talk about it, clinical psychologist, we welcome back Dr. Paula Bloom, and also mom blogger Melanie Snare, melaniesnare.com. All right, Paula, let's start with you. What could a 3-year-old be going through right now after going through such a traumatic experience?
You know, it really depends. One thing we have to recognize is just because as adults we felt a sense of terror, part of that is because we have a sense of mortality and fear of what could happen. A lot of times the child doesn't necessarily interpret it that way, so we really don't know. With kids that age, what we want to look at is their behavior more than what they're saying. How are they sleeping? How are they eating? Has there been a personality change? Those things usually give us more of an indicator of how the child is doing. But again, as adults, we're much more aware of the implications of this. We're much more aware of the possibility of death. That child isn't.
Yeah, as we see, we're looking at that video over your shoulder, just this wide-eyed 3-year-old looking up. So do you want to try and coax the child to talk about things?
So we really want to take the child's lead and see what the child wants to talk about. Again, we often as adults, we have this need to process and discuss, and we can often put our own fear and terror into the child. So you really want to follow their lead. Gotcha. And again, with kids, you want to look at their behavior more than what they're saying a lot of times.
Got it. Let's talk about the parents, Melanie. Obviously guilt. You know, we talked about the Facebook post where they're thankful the child's okay. What is your take on the parents? Do you place some blame on them or not?
It's a really tough situation, but I do think as parents, you know, when you have your children in that kind of a situation, you have to be totally aware of what they're doing. I mean, I know when I'm with my kids, I'm going to make sure that my hands are on their backs, but I know kids will be kids, you know, and they're going to dart off. And, you know, I wasn't there, I was not there, so I don't know exactly how that went down. I've heard different sides that some parents have overheard that kid wanted to, you know, go down in there and was making that claim that he was going to do that. So if that's the case, I would definitely have my kid locked in and, you know, not let that happen.
You know, here, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Here's from what we gather from a witness account saying that the mom here of this toddler was with a friend. There were multiple children involved, and that mom was putting other kids in strollers, probably 4 or 5 kids total. To your point, here's the quotes this witness heard, and again, it's just a witness account, that the child said he wanted to swim with the gorilla, said, I want to go, and mom said, no, you're not. So with... and again, those are all reported comments here, and here's a look at, again, this YouTube clip, and that's where the little child climbed through to get into that area and then fell into the moat/water, and then we've seen what happened in the aftermath of all of that. So how about the parents and the guilt, and mom specifically who was there, Paula? How do you deal with all that?
So the first thing is that you have to recognize there is nothing anybody could say that this parent probably hasn't already said to themselves. It's really important that these parents be able to kind of shut off a little bit what others are saying about them. They need to minimize that because they don't really need to be reinforced. They already feel terrible, I'm guessing, and they don't really need to seek out more of that. What's really important for the parents to recognize, listen, I'm a mother. It's very easy to look at this and say, I would have done this, 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 and this, but I'm human. We're all human. You can't attend to things all the time. It's hard as a parent. We make mistakes. It's just that the consequences of this mistake were huge. You know, it happens at the park, your kid runs away. This one's way more major.
You agree, Melanie?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no one's perfect. We're parents. We make mistakes. I do every single day with my girls. It's just, it's very unfortunate that in this situation, such a huge mistake caused this zoo to lose one of their family members, you know, because this animal was family. That's a really, really tough situation for them to be put in to make that call.
Yeah, very well put. Melanie, thanks again. Paula, you as well. So